Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is the third video in the Granny Circle Along, and I kind of wanted to give you an update of a project that I talked about last week in the second video, which is making granny circles and then adding these cute little lacy borders around them. And so I showed you this last week that I'm using my linen color, okay, to do the in common color, meaning so that you can use this still to join, and I really like the way that looks. But I showed you the pictures of on one of my round end tables and a few things, and I just decided I wanted to make bigger rounds. And I did tell you that I was probably eventually going to make a blanket from this, which you could, but I decided that I've got a big round coffee table in my little library reading room, sitting room, and so I thought that I would continue making it bigger to cover that round top. You know, it is the Granny Circle Along, so it's all about circles right now. And so I just wanted to kind of tell you how to, you know, the numbers and increasing. So of course, round one, you start with one circle, right? And then you surround it by 6. You need 6, okay? I'm gonna put that in the middle, so if you wanted to take a screenshot of that, you could. And then for round 3, you need 12, which is double of 6, so it's increased by 6. For round 4, you need 18, which is another increase of 6. Okay, so you still need, you know, the same amount in your last round is the best way to remember it. So on round 3, I needed 12, but for round 4, I needed 18. So I make 12 more plus 6. I am going to add a round 5. I've got these in my bowl here. I've got a bunch ready to go. All I have to do is add the border around the outside, the lacy border, and I'm going to need 24 of those, and then I'm going to lay that on the table and see how, you know, how big that is, and see if I want to go even larger. And if I want to go any even larger for round 6, I know that I will need to make 30 of them, because that's 24 increased by 6 is 30. And then I'll just keep continuing on until I make it as big as I want. And so if you were going to make a blanket or even a shawl, this would be great for a shawl. You would just, once it's round, you would just fold it in half and it would become a shawl. You know, you put it over your shoulders. And so this is just really fun. I'm having fun, you know, making all these, all of my scrappy granny circles here, and then just choosing one color that I could join them with. Now, I could choose any color. You could choose frosting. You could choose denim, you know, you could choose lipstick, any of these colors you could choose to do this round right here on the outside, the lacy round. And so I would just, if you choose those colors, I would just choose granny circles that did not have that color, meaning, notice I'm using linen, so I chose circles that did not have linen in any of the rounds. I mean, it's not gonna make it or break it, but that's just kind of what I did. So, you know, for instance, if I chose to do time, what this is rounded in, or denim, I just would not use circles that have time or, you know, in them, so that lacy border would really stand out. Okay, so I will take a picture at the end. I'll do another slideshow of, you know, what this looks like on my table so far. And then I want to talk about today's project, which is still the granny circles, okay, with the lacy rounds, but we are using a different color, that, you know, in common color. And I'm sure that you saw in the opening slideshow these cute little circles. Let me lay these out so you can kind of see some of the combinations that I've done. And you can see that they have one color in common, right? And that is chamomile, right here. That's the color chamomile. That's the back of my yarn. You know, I've talked about my yarn several times. It's 100% cotton. It is a number 2, which is a sport weight. And I just love it. I love working with it. I can make so many different things with it. But look at the difference, what this looks like. Let me pull this back in so you can kind of see them side by side. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So let me just pull this corner in. So this is what it looks like with all 3 rounds, different colors. Okay, but what I did with these is I just used my second round, meaning if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I've been making a whole bunch of starters again because I've been depleting my granny circles by, doing this project right here and other projects to show you. So I always start with a bunch of new starters and then I do a bunch of round 2s. And so that's what you're going to do for these. So here, let me grab this one. And what you would do was is take the round 2, and then round 3 is always going to be chamomile. Okay, so you grab chamomile. This is mine already, wound into a cake. And so you always do the 3rd round in chamomile. All right, and so that's what they have in common. And then what you'll do is, now that I've covered this up, let me take a few more out, is the one that you started round 1 with is what you're going to do your lacy border with. And so this turns into basically a 2-color granny round. Here's the 2 colors, and chamomile I'm calling the neutral. You could call it a color if you want, but so you're just working with the 2 colors. And color placement can make something look completely different. And so I wanted to do this project to show you, when I told you that I would do a bunting or a garland or something like that. I wanted to show you what that looks like if you decide to just play with a certain color. I know I use linen a lot. I use chamomile a lot. Cloud, those are like the light colors, wheat, a gray, pebble, neutrals like that. But it's fun to use dark colors for a background too. Another thing I wanted to show you is, let me bring this back in, is so here's my pile of round 2s. Here's my pile that I showed you before, right, of my round 3s, which is a complete granny circle that I'm doing for my other project. But I always have things in different progression. But I love to use every little bit of my yarn. And so I wanted to bring this in, and these are floss flowers. This is what they look like empty. I use these for my cross stitch and, for threads and things like that, but I use them mostly, honestly, for my yarn, for my chunky thread. And so anytime I think that I have a little bit left over, these are the very ends of skeins. Anytime I think that I have enough left over to do the center of a granny circle, which, let me grab one right here out of my basket, which is not much yarn at all, then I will save it and just wind it around this floss flower. And then I have this little tin in here that I keep them in, and I grab those first when I'm going to make my rounds. Right here, I grab those first and use those up. And I just think it's really fun to be able to use everything up like that and not have any waste or leftover. And then I keep these in my 3 stages, and I will use these to build upon to make the second round. And then I'll take as many out of here as I need to make, to put chamomile on or whatever, project that I'm doing. And so once again, I know I've been talking a lot, but I do kind of want to explain what I'm doing. So once again, what I did was just pick the 2 rounds that had, a color like this. So here I just grabbed 4 colors here just to kind of show you. So if I had a granny round, for instance, that had, thyme in the center, the color thyme, then this is what I would grab. like this one right here. This is the color Thyme. This is Tea Rose. This is Lagoon, and this is Butterscotch. And so I just need to find those yarn colors that coincide with the centers once I've added my round of chamomile on top of it. So here's another one right here. So I would just grab them, kind of lay them on top of there. I'm searching through my bin here to find a Lagoon one. There's Lagoon. Searching, see if I can see one in Tea Rose. Here's one in Tea Rose. And so that's kind of what I'll do. I'll just grab my little cakes of yarn out, grab my chamomile, put my third round on them, just like I showed you in the tutorial. And I will link to video 1 and video 2, you know, below in this description of this video. So you'll be able to see those if this is the first time you're watching this Granny Circle Along series. And so that's what I'll do, add the lacy round. And so that's, you know, kind of that show and tell right there. So what I'm doing with these is, I've just made a bunch of these. I just grabbed some, made a bunch with a different variety of colors. I just tried to choose ones that had different color centers so that I knew that I would end up with different colors of the little lacy border, okay? And this is what I've got going on here. I'm making some coasters for my mom for Mother's Day. It's the tradition that I've had since I can ever remember, is I've always made a gift for my mom for Mother's Day when I was a little girl, and I made one for both of my grandmothers too, up until they passed away, which isn't really that long ago. Actually, my one grandmother, Millie, lived to be 95, and my other grandma, Ida, who was my crochet grandma, who taught me to crochet, Ida Marie, she lived to be 99. And so for many, many years, I have been making Mother's Day gifts, and crochet was often one of them. And so I'm going to choose, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of these, 6, I don't know, whatever fits into a cute small bowl like this. Look how cute. This is for a little gift. And I know I talked about this last week. So this is what, you know, some of these look like stacked up. Find a little bowl, find a little platter. If you want to do a bigger gift, you know, just find a bigger bowl. I know my mom would love any of these vintage bowls, and she would love these coasters. I know she's going to love these. My mom is now in her mid-80s, and I'm lucky to still have her. And she does know how to crochet, but embroidery is mostly her thing. And so she loves it when I crochet her things. And so once a month, the last Saturday of every month, me and my sisters and our daughters go over to my mom's for a luncheon. And so it'll be fun to use these coasters. We eat lunch, we play cards and games after. This is something that we did years ago at my grandma's house. And then when my grandma passed away, then we moved it over to my mom's house. And so that's what we do. And so I think it'll be really fun to do those coasters. So here's another thing. I'm sure you saw this in the opening video too. I talked about the bunting or a garland. So what I did here was I made 15 of them in the exact same way, using chamomile as my neutral color. And I love the chamomile because it just makes everything look lacy, I think. With this lacy border, it just was kind of a go-to for me. And so what I did with that was to join them together, is I crocheted 60 chains, and then I joined into the top, and then I did 15 in between. I found that 15, chaining 15 before I joined to the top of the next one was just right. Okay, so that's all I needed to do with that. And then I turned around, and after I went through the whole thing right here, let me show you these one by one, what these look like. I know I've got this all twisted up, but you know, when I hang it, I can untwist it. And you know, I took this off the bed in my guest bedroom so that I can show this to you again. But let me show you each one of these. And I just tried to put colors that weren't the same next to each other. That's all I did, and I tried to use a variety of colors. Okay, so that's 15 and 15 granny circles with the lace border, 15 chains in between, and then I did 60 because I just felt like that was long enough. It's better to be too long than not long enough. You can tie this around something. You can put hooks on the wall. I just, you know, however you need to tie that. And so once I did a single crochet and went all the way across and joined them all together, then I just turned back around and joined into my chain and did, excuse me, I said single crochet first. I just did a chain stitch first, and then I turned back around into my chain and did a single crochet. And that's how thick that ends up being, okay? And so that's how I do that. Bunting, you can make those as long as you want, as short as you want. You can do them 5 across and do it, you know, below a picture or below your cross stitch on your wall or whatever you want to do. I think that's really fun. But I did want to answer one question before I go, and that is about my yarn bowls, because I have a lot of people asking me about my yarn bowls, which I've talked about before, but you know, it doesn't hurt to refresh, right? And so these are yarn bowls that I've bought years ago at Hobby Lobby, and they look like this design right here. And this is another recent one that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and this is how these come in the natural wood. So I don't know if they have this style anymore, but I've seen this. And so you would just put, you know, your yarn in here, and it would feed through out here. So I think this is really pretty in the natural wood color too, but you know, I love color, and all I do is I just buy them and paint them with chalk paint and just kind of sand the edges, distress it a little bit. If you're a person that likes color, and like I do, that's really fun. You just pick up some chalk paint that you like to work with. You can leave them plain if you want, and then I just simply put wax. Anytime you use chalk paint, there's a clear wax that you can put over them, that you would put over them to protect it. And so that's what I do. And so that's where my yarn bowls come from. I'm sure that you can find them probably even at Joann's. I haven't even looked at the crochet aisle in Joann's for a long time, but maybe they have some there. I just know that I bought these at Hobby Lobby. I've collected yarn bowls for several years. I use different things for my yarn bowls, and you know, maybe I'll do a video and show you all the yarn bowls that I have so far. If you're interested in that, let me know. And if you have any questions about this little lacy border, the buntings, or the coasters, let's see, what have I, or just the granny circles in general, I just want to make sure that I've covered everything, answered your questions. Let's see. Oh, I do want to say one thing about the coasters. So remember last time when I told you that I weave in the yarns, the yarn ends around the outside of here to, you know, because I have to weave them in anyway, and so it strengthens them. For sure, that's what I did with the coasters. I did that with these too, just so it will lie nice and flat, but I leave really long tails, and then I just weave in with the same color right here. This is plum, and so I just have long tails, and I just weave them all the way around behind here. And if it only made it, say let's see, where did I start? Here's my little knot right here. So I probably, you know, went to this point and I ran out of my tail. I will just grab another needle and grab some plum and thread a double strand and just go through and just put one more strand in. And that just kind of helps to strengthen it and flatten it. I have not blocked these, but you can. But I just find that by adding that little bit of yarn around the edges and then just simply pulling like this and kind of shaping it, because it is 100% cotton, that shapes really nicely like that. Okay, and I've really been having fun with these. And so that's today's a little video, just kind of a extension of last week, and I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you're having fun with these little lacy granny circles. I have seen a lot on social media of projects that you're doing, and I think it's so fun. I've had several people tell me that it would be so fun to make a window valance out of these, and I think it would be too. And what you would do is just join them, you know, straight across into rows instead of you know, making them into a circle. You would just start by making rows straight across, and that would be really fun. Okay, so I am going out of town for quilt market, and so I may not have a crochet video next week if I can't fit it in, but for sure I'll have a crochet video the next week. Okay, so thanks for joining me. Please leave me a comment and ask me any questions. Let me know. If you like this video, please give me a like. It helps me to bring you more content, and I will chat with you later.